and I love to feel my body burning its fat, like it's eating its own fat. And I love that feeling.
Like I feel like I have after I eat, like I am low energy. So like I just like that feeling of like I like you look in the mirror, you feel skinnier after, but like at the same time, like I could feel in my body like getting thinner. I'm higher energy. Like I feel like I feel better personally.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast. And I'm so excited because I have one of my very good friends, Catherine Muldoon, who was Miss Virginia. She's drop dead gorgeous. Every time I see her, she just gets prettier and prettier. And she's got the perfect body. And what we're going to do today is we are going to learn how she stays so beautiful and has such an amazing body. And she's really given me so many things. And it's funny because, Catherine, when you talk, I just it ingrains in my head. I listen to every word you say. So I'm so excited to have you on the show. She is a well-known cosmetic dentist. So she's not only gorgeous, she's also smart, and she's got some exciting things coming up. So Catherine, tell us a little bit about some new revelations that you've got going on with cosmetic dentistry.
I am super excited to reveal it, but I can't yet.
Okay.
As you know, I was in Virginia before, but I recently moved back to New York, and I can't release it because I'm working with a couple of celebrities who won't let me do it yet. But
no problem. We're gonna have you back on, and you'll reveal it.
Because I'm so excited, but this is a little bit of a clue.
Awesome. Okay, well, we're excited to learn about it. So what we want you to talk about today is I want you to tell everyone some of the things that you've told me. So describe to me kind of what does a typical eating day look like for you? Do you eat breakfast in the morning?
Okay, so I want to preface it with this, like, you're super sweet to be like, oh, you have the perfect body, but like, honestly, I am a human being like everyone else. Like, I sometimes, fall off the wagon. Sometimes I'm doing a little bit better. And I remember when you were asking me about the book, I'm trying to think, okay, like, I made my little, I call it my pageant diet. But it's not really a diet. It's just, like, a lifestyle. But I've noticed that, we started off our meeting today and had a little bit of coffee. But, like, when I wake up in the morning, I'm a busy person. So I drink my coffee in the morning. And then I go to work. I'm usually drinking coffee on the way to work while doing my makeup in the curvy mirror. Don't tell on me. And then I get to work and I'm like, go, 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 go. And then by the time lunch comes, sometimes I'm working so hard that I don't get a lunch. And then I can literally feel my stomach shrinking. And I think I told you that I have extra energy because of it. And then I almost feel like my body is eating the fat off of itself. So by the time I eat, I try to eat a very small lunch just so that I don't lose that energy. But there's been times in my life where I start eating breakfast and then I call it my relationship weight because if it's in front of me, I'll eat it. But I noticed that I gain weight. I'm still a little bit fatty right now because it's okay, you got that little bit of breakfast weight on you.
So you feel like when you're in a relationship, let's say the guy that you're dating, might say, hey, let's go have breakfast, and you don't want to be rude, so you'll have breakfast, and you're saying when you start eating that breakfast, that's extra calories that are coming in that you're not normally used to eating, and then you end up gaining some weight when you do that.
Yeah, I just feel calorie, I tell everyone food's kind of calories are kind of your money. How are you going to spend your money? It adds up. So if you spend some money on breakfast and you spend some money on lunch and then you spend more money on something in the afternoon and then you spend more money on dinner, that's a lot of money that you spend.
I love that.
For the day. So when I started eating breakfast, I'm you have breakfast in the morning and then your metabolism starts going and then you get hungry again quicker, I think. And then I eat more food and I'm wow, these calories really add up. So, I do have a science background, of course, but at the end of the day, you just kind of have to find out what works for you. And I've noticed that when I eat breakfast, I eat lunch, and then I kind of get a little bit lazy, and then, more lethargic. I have less energy to go work out, and so those things just, the calories add up. I mean, it's simple addition and subtraction. Like, subtract when you go to the gym, you add when you eat. And it's really not rocket science.
So talk to me about when you want something sweet. So like, let's say you're like, I just have a sweet tooth. I have a sweet tooth right now. I have a sweet tooth too. But when you have that sweet tooth, what do you do to curb it?
So, I mean, I'm probably like the worst. Do as I say, not as I do. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I'm a dentist. Everyone always jokes me because I love candy. Like, I love it. I have since I was little. Like, I literally used to stick chocolate bars in my pocket when I was little, and they would melt, and I'd have like these brown stains in my pants. Like, ask my mom. But I have always loved Skittles since like forever. Like, my boyfriend used to, run to my house when I was in middle school and bring me a bag of Skittles, and I thought it was like the cutest thing. But I like, my mom jokes too. I literally have Skittles in my purse. But I think that you shouldn't deprive yourself of the things that you like, because I think then sometimes it makes you eat other things. So whenever I have like a sugar craving, I try to go after something that I know, and this is just in general, like I try to eat things that I know that if I completely engorge myself with it, it's still not that many calories. So like, for example, if you're eating a meal and you eat an entire plate of vegetables, like you can eat and eat and eat and eat and eat, and it's still only a couple hundred calories, and you're engorged with it. You're like, I can't even possibly eat any more vegetables if I tried. Well, I have the same thing with Skittles. Like, I can't eat an entire bag of Skittles even if I tried. So like, I'll eat a couple Skittles, and after I have a couple Skittles, I'm like, oh, there's too much sweet. I am like over it now.
So describe how you're eating it, because I loved when you were kind of telling me like, you don't just take the Skittles and go, I'm going to just take the Skittle bag and go, boom, I'm going to put it like, eat it like that. Describe as detailed as you can how you eat Skittles.
Okay, so, I mean, some people say to lose weight, you're supposed to like savor your food. And I agree with that. Like, I think Bethany Frankel said something like, you shouldn't eat food while sitting on the couch because you're mindlessly eating it, and you should savor every bite. Said it on the Real Housewives or something like that. And that's what I do too. But honestly, like, it's not because I'm savoring it, although I am, because I love Skittles. But like, I used to make this little game when I was a kid where I was doing it while I was watching TV, like exactly what you're not to do. But so I would sit in front of the television and I would put a Skittle in my mouth and not look at what color it was. And then I would try to figure out what color it was, and then I would take it out of my mouth and see if I was right. So like, I have this little like secret known talent that I can eat a Skittle, and only the red bag, but I can eat a Skittle and I can tell you what color I was just eating. Like, I don't know. You can't do it with M&M's, they all taste the same. But anyway, so I literally, like, when I eat Skittles, I'll like suck on the Skittles so that I can tell you what flavor it is, because the flavor typically comes from the outside. And so I'll suck on the Skittle for a while and be like, is this red? Oh yeah, it's red. Okay. Like, I mean, it's
but it just shows that you're really like embracing that and because you're savoring every minute of that Skittle that it's in your mouth.
I guess at the end of the day, like, that's what is happening. But again, like I said, like, I didn't write a diet book. Like, you're the one who like literally like asked all of our friends, and I'm telling you, like, our friends like all have way better bodies than I do. Like,
that's not true.
Like, Virginia Beach women, like, I've lived all around the world, and like, if you go to the gym in Virginia Beach, like, these women, like, I can't keep up. I'm like, are you sure you had kids? Or like, are you kidding me right now? Like,
yeah, we got some really good
Can I mention these people or no?
Good in shape women. That's great. So talk about like, so what I've heard you say and you've talked to me about is like, if you had to describe how you eat, you kind of eat a small, try to wait as long as you can to eat your lunch, and then you're eating a small lunch, and then you're eating a large, medium-sized dinner. Is that kind of your routine, that you'd say, hey, I like to eat a small lunch and a medium-sized dinner, or how does that work for you?
So by default, that's kind of like what I've done for the last, I don't know, like 7, 8 years, because I've been working. So when I would drink coffee on the way to work, and I'm like, one of these people is like usually 15 minutes late, not the best trait, but I'm like trying to rush to get to work. And so I'm like I'm drinking my coffee on the way to work, doing my makeup, run in, start seeing patients. And then 1 o'clock would roll around. And if I got a lunch, I wasn't working through lunch or seeing someone, then I would eat some like a medium-ish lunch, especially when I'm like doing like my quote-unquote pageant diet, do like tuna with some like, I like that broccoli slaw, because it doesn't like weigh me down. Like if I notice when I ate like a heavier lunch, or I would go out to lunch with my other coworkers, like when I got back to work at 2 o'clock, like I would be like dragging along. So I mean, again, it wasn't like intentional, but I would have like a pretty small lunch. And then when I leave work, when I'm being really good, I'll cook, I'll go to the grocery store and have like a somewhat bigger dinner. And everyone's always told me that you shouldn't eat like that late in the day, this and that. But I noticed when I was living that type of lifestyle, I was definitely thinner, and like my schedule was more regimented and I had more energy. And like when you have energy to go to the gym after work, like that says a lot, because working is pretty rigorous. So you have even more energy to go to the gym. You haven't eaten calories, so you haven't taken from your budget. You've subtracted from your budget when you go to the gym, and then afterwards you eat, like I eat a bigger dinner. So people always told me, like, when I go right to bed, not right to bed, but shortly after. And I mean, people told me, well, that's not good, but I've noticed that during those times in my life, I've definitely been thinner. And
what's crazy is the people, how many people I've interviewed. It's just crazy. What do you eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner? But the people that I have seen that are the thinnest, that is their recipe. They eat a small lunch and then they eat a medium-sized dinner. They're eating 2 meals a day, and that's kind of their recipe for...
My girlfriend's in undergrad too, like the same thing. They would eat like I don't know if I should mention names. My girlfriend Justina in undergrad, she was like the most fit person I know. She would literally she would eat the same bar. She'd eat a bar for lunch, literally like some sort of protein bar, and she'd run during the day, and then she would eat like a big dinner, or for her,
medium to large dinner, right?
To bed after that, and she was like this all the time. So I don't know.
So talk to me about like what kind of self-talk that you do in your mind to kind of like, let's say you feel like you're in a rut and you're like, I need to kind of pep myself up for, either losing a couple pounds or anything like that you say to yourself that's super positive to encourage yourself each day as far as your weight goes.
So I like you said, I like to focus on the positive aspect of things. So I don't ever want to feel like I'm depriving myself. So, I mean, when I had pageants to look forward to, I would start visualizing myself walking on stage, and I would visualize like what I wanted to look like, and I would feel that feeling on my body. So like if you know that you want to like feel great when you're like do that turn and you're like, oh, I look awesome and my abs are popping, like I literally would visualize that. So that's one of the things. And I feel like when I would get that feeling of like being on stage and being like, wow, like I feel confident right now, like I feel like I look good in my clothes, I feel like I look good in my bathing suit, and I'm just gonna kill it, like it just gives me a feeling of in my body that would make me feel motivated. So this was more of like going to the gym, like getting motivated and in like the mindset. But in addition, like I also don't want to feel like I was ever depriving myself. So instead of focusing on like the food that I couldn't have, like I love French fries. Like who doesn't love some really good French fries? I love them. But like those things are kind of hard and it's a slippery slope. So like I feel like when I have French fries, especially from McDonald's, I think they put crack in them. But like I feel like if I have French fries, like I will want them. So I can't think about the French fries that I can't have. I'd rather think about the things that I can have. So I actually start really getting into cooking. When I'm starting to lose weight, I started thinking about all the things like, oh, okay, what can I have? I can have things like mustard. Mustard is something that's like so flavorful and has like no calories. Things like capers. Capers are like super salty, and I know there's like a little bit of controversy about that, but like capers, super flavorful. Like all the spices, there's so many spices that you can use and so many things that have so much flavor that bring flavor to things like white meat chicken, white fish, vegetables. Like I love vegetables, but they're so much better with like butter and a whole lot of spices on them. Like I won't deprive myself of butter, or like oil. I think if things are flavorful and you enjoy eating them, then you don't feel like you're deprived. Like I literally will sit there and start thinking like, what if I put like a curry on this? And like, if I make it like that, and all these things that like you can eat. So I start thinking about that, and then I get excited about it. And it's like, you don't even think about the French fries when you're having like these amazing like fish tacos,
And one of the things that I've heard you say is like, as far as like rating your food. So like, let's just say that if you had something that was a 5 stars in your book, right? Like you're like, this is like the best thing ever. And then if you had something that was like 4 stars where you're like, this is really good. But once you start kind of going like, this is only 3 stars, it's not that good, you stop eating it. Like you're like, if it doesn't taste good, and it's not absolutely amazing.
Spending on it.
Yes. So talk about that. That you told me about that.
Like 5 stars, and like you can call it whatever you want. A rose by any other name would smell as sweet, isn't that the saying? But so I always like equate it to like money. I'm like, so I'm thinking like money or like calories is really the what is it, the currency at the end of the day. But like you have to think about like, okay, so if I eat this, is it worth what I'm spending on it? So like French fries, for example, I love French fries. They're so expensive when they come to like calories. And in addition, I'm going to crave them again and again and again and again for days. So like for me, when I'm trying to lose weight, like, don't get me wrong, I eat fries all the time. I'm not trying to be like...
Hey guys, we absolutely love getting your questions into the podcast, but we're also interested in your journey. So if you've started intermittent fasting and have some success or even struggling a little bit, we want to hear about it. Email me your intermittent fasting stories to chantel@chantelrayway.com. Now back to the show. Let's talk about when just your regular eating, not when you're like getting ready for a pageant or getting ready for something that you're like, hey, I just want to I want to trim back and lose a couple
things. It's like Catherine completely off the wagon, just going haywire. And then I'll eat French fries and this and whatever and breakfast and bacon and whatever I want. And then I notice I'm like, all right, I don't like this. And then there's like, okay, I gotta reel it back in, so let me be good. And then there's like the in between. So, I mean, I feel like there's like 3, it's not like 2 avenues. It's not like, oh, pageant ready and then regular. It's like, completely indulgent. Okay, let's reel it back in. Let's be like normal again. And then let's be like really good. And so like, it's like a pendulum because it swings back and forth. But like, if you want me to talk about like, just like in the middle. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's good. So let's talk about those 3 different levels. So like, because here's the thing, let's relate it back to the money example. There are times where you just say, you know what? I'm going to spend a lot of money on this purse. I really love it, and I'm going to indulge in this. But if you had to just
or when you have been saving, you've been really good, like when you've been dieting, like right after Miss USA, I've been saving for a really freaking long time, and I can afford it right now. You know what I mean? Like, I've been saving my money. I've been saving my calories. Like, I can afford to indulge right now. And then I indulged, and I'm like, ooh, I'm getting a little poor right now. Or like, I'm going to start to pull out a little, I think I need to start saving again. So it's like, it's a pendulum swing. I love purses. So like, every once in a while, I'm like, oh, okay. If I can afford it, I'll go indulge on a nice purse. But then I'm like, whoop, let me reel it back in. I'm not going to go buy another one. I'm not going to go buy a new car. It's like you kind of have to like gauge where you are. So, I mean, if you work out a ton and you're like one of these people who do like a ton of CrossFit and you have a ton of like muscle mass and you have, your high basal metabolic rate, like that, you're rich. Like you can afford to eat these things. So that's kind of what it's like,
yes.
Okay, like,
so
I can't afford this right now.
Let me give an example of something that one of my friends told me, and it was a really good example, but I want you to expand on this. So she said, when I see people who really struggle with their weight, this is what they do. Pretend like this is point A and this is point B. So let's say that I was going to your house and we were going for a walk. Yeah, let's say that this is my house over here and this is your house. And I was walking to your house and then I took a couple steps back. Let's just say I tripped and I took a couple steps back. What people who struggle with their weight is, they go like this. They go, oh my gosh, I kind of fell off the wagon a little bit. And then they go all the way back and then start going this way instead of going, okay, I took a couple steps back. I'm still going to move forward.
Like, I think that what you focus on is what you get. So I think that's a mental game, honestly. And I've seen it so many times. Like, people who are struggling with their weight, they're like, they get really, really far. And then they're saying, this is really hard. So then they'll fall off the wagon a little bit. And then they're like, it's really as like a slippery slope. Like, I like this analogy with french fries because like once you start eating badly and then when I think you get what you focus on. I don't know. Have you read the book The Secret?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
So it's, you get what you focus on. They say that your mind is like a light, like what is it? Like a tower of energy that's putting things into the universe. But I mean, if you want to think about it on a less spiritual level and then more of like a, I don't know, a level where like if you're constantly focusing on like, oh, I fell off the wagon a little bit, like, oh, look at this roll, I don't like the way this looks, like I was doing so well, but I can't ever do it. Look, see, I tried so hard and then I fell back a little bit. If you continually focus on the falling back, it demotivates you, like makes you not feel good about yourself. And like if you focus on the negative, it's going to continue to demotivate you. And so I think that's one of those things. It's like if you focus on the food that you can't have, you're constantly thinking about that, and then that's where you put your energy, and then you feel good. You don't feel good because you're not depriving yourself, and when you don't feel good, you don't want to go to the gym, and you don't think, when you're thinking about what you can't have, that's taking up space in your brain that you can't think about things that you can have. It's killing your creativity on like all these creative meals of like the great spices and things that you can do to your vegetables and lean meats that you can have. So I think that's why a lot of people will go like, they'll try to get here and then they fall back a little bit and then they end up going all the way back, because it's also habit too.
So I love this idea that you just talked about, because I haven't heard you talk about this one before and I want to expand on it. So let's say we have three phases. So we have the indulgent Catherine, we have the medium Catherine, where you're kind of, mostly maybe 80% eating clean, 20% eating a little something here or there, right? And then we've got this other Catherine, we'll call it perfect Patty Catherine, where you're really dialed in. Pageant, we'll call that pageant Catherine. So we'll call it, the first phase will be indulgent Catherine. The medium,
let's call it Catherine. We can call it Catherine. It's called fat, happy.
Happy Catherine?
I don't know. Sometimes it's just like you just get like so like
Happy Catherine. So this is
fappy, my fappy self.
Oh, fappy. That's what you're saying. Okay, got it. Fappy. Okay, so that's fappy Catherine. And then this middle phrase, that's kind of the 80-20, where you're 80% you're really eating clean, 20% you're eating a little bit. So we'll call that one the 80-20 Catherine. And then And then over here, we've got the third phase, which is pageant Catherine, where we're really dialed in. We've got a special occasion, or we've kind of maybe overindulged a little, and now we're trying to get back on track. So I love those 3 tracks that we're talking about. So how many days, if you had to kind of predict out of 30 days out of the month, would you say like 1 or 2 days you're in this, fappy Catherine mode? How many days are you in this 80-20 mode? And how many days would you say that you're in this pageant mode, if you had to estimate?
Honestly, I don't know if it would go like per month. I would think like it's almost like per year, because I think I kind of go in like 3-month increments. Like there's like a good maybe 6 weeks where I'm just being sappy and nothing's really happening. But then like maybe 8 weeks in, I'm like a little bit there, but like I'm not really paying attention because I'm sappy. And then maybe 12 weeks in, I'm like, whoa, oh, okay, hold on. So I would say it's probably like 50% of the middle, 25% of, okay, you're fappy for the 3 months, and then, oh crap, that goes to, I'm going to swing the pendulum to the other side. So another probably like 3 months of being like really good. And then I'm like, okay, it comes back to the middle for another like 6 months. So if we had to put it like in terms of like percentages, that's probably what it is. Probably like 50% of the time in the middle, 25. Or, and then when I'm being like, I'm pageant coming up, I'm like, I gear more to this side. And then when, I'm like, don't have anything coming up, it's the middle of the winter, and I'm like,
So how many pounds?
Netflix, it's the other side.
How many pounds would you say, I've heard other people kind of say, I have like a 3-pound limit. So like, I get on the scale and I kind of go, okay, once I've gained, 2 or 3 pounds, then I start getting into that window and I go, okay, now I need to tighten my belt a little bit. So I kind of need to move over from being, frappy into being over into this side that you need to get into more pageant material there. So what would you say is yours? Is it 2 pounds, 3 pounds, 5 pounds? Where are you at?
It's probably like, if I were like on a monthly thing, I pay attention to it more, it'd probably be like 5 pounds. But I don't know, it's probably like 15 pounds. But like, I don't own a scale. The only time I really weigh myself is when I go to the gym. But like mine is less of like a weight thing. It's more of like okay, so like when I gain weight, I gain it in my hips and my butt first, and I gain it in my boobs second, and then I get it in my stomach third. So when I start noticing that if I'm sitting down and I have like, I don't know, I feel like I could show it to you right now. But like if I feel like my stomach is sticking over the top of my jeans, like if I start to get that little like roll in my stomach, like right in the center, and I stop seeing my abs, I'm like, ooh, oh no, Catherine. I'm like, when I know when it's reached, like it's when it's gone from the butt to the boobs, and then it's at the stomach, I'm like, ooh. But everyone gains weight differently. Like some people hold it in different spots, and people are all over the place. But I just know myself, like even at my like skinniest, when I was probably like way too skinny for Miss USA, like literally my chest bones were showing. I don't think I wasn't unhealthy. I was just eating like super clean and working out like twice a day. But like I still had a butt on me. Like I can't get rid of that thing no matter what. So like I'm not gonna look at my butt in the mirror and be like, oh, you have a butt. Like you need to lose weight, because even when people called me anorexic, like I still had a butt. So like for me, I'm like, when I can like feel my stomach and I'm like, ooh, when it reached that point, I'm like, okay. And even the same thing when I go in the reverse, like the first thing that gets toned on me is my stomach. But like I can never lose like these saddlebags if I wanted to. So, it's not a pound thing. It's like a squish test thing.
Yeah, well, it's funny because my husband, I gain weight in my butt and my boobs. And so he always, for me, if I'm in my thin mood. He loves it. He actually doesn't like it. He doesn't like it when I'm too thin. He actually is like, Hannah, I'm just going to tell you, you're a little too thin right now. He'll be like, here's a cheeseburger, you know?
Yeah, it's like, can I get my boobs back?
Yeah, he doesn't like it when I'm too thin. Any other tips that you can think of that you kind of say to yourself, or kind of favorite foods that you go, these are things that I eat where I feel like this is like a treat? Or some people have said one of the things they do when they're hungry. I want you to talk about that. How do you know when you're physically hungry? What are some of the signs that you feel when you're physically hungry?
Okay, so I don't know if I'd like want to call it like hungry, because I kind of like the feeling, but like, you know, I told you I have like coffee for lunch, you know, for breakfast, and then I kind of go through my day. Like when I'm not working, I'm running errands, and then I'm like, all of a sudden I get thirsty, and I drink some water. It's good, but like, I mean, after a while, like your stomach will like literally shrink, and you can feel it. Like I can feel like when I can feel my stomach shrinking, and like I feel like I'm burning calories. So it's kind of like like, you know, your stomach has little ripples in it, and so like it's expanded, and then like when it shrinks, like that's when your stomach is growling. It's like, I think that's what's happening. I'm a dentist.
Yes.
But like your stomach has little ripples in it, and it's kind of like a balloon that's like inflated, and then when it deflates, you know, the balloon has like wrinkles in it. Like that's the same thing with what's happening with your stomach. It like shrinks. But similarly, I think that's when your body is going into lactic acid fermentation. So like people who do these like keto diets, so the way your body burns, I don't know how detailed you want me to get into this, but I mean, I could give you the science behind it. So I'm calling it currency of your body, which is calories. But really, if you break it down like on a molecular level, the currency of your body is ATP, like adenosine triphosphate. And so like when you hear people who work out a lot and they take creatine phosphate, what creatine phosphate is basically doing is when your body runs out of energy, or ATP turns into adenosine triphosphate to adenosine diphosphate. So what creatine phosphate does is, instead of your muscles going to lactic acid fermentation, lactic acid is what makes your muscles sore. So what people who take creatine do is they get a phosphate, and then you get more energy for your body. So my thought is, okay, so if I'm sitting here and my stomach is growling and it's shrinking, like I almost like feel my body like losing weight. And I'm pretty sure that's when your body is going from the Krebs cycle, basically utilizing glucose, which is calories, glucose. Glucose breaks down, produces ATP. ATP is what your body lives off of. When your body is deprived of glucose or of calories, and that's what makes these Atkins diets or low carb diets work. When that cycle is deprived and it produces 28 ATP, it goes into lactic acid fermentation. So like people who are diabetic go into it, or people who are going into ketosis for their bodybuilding, or like me, not intentionally, just not eating throughout the day. Like I feel my stomach shrinking. And then I also, I can feel my body going from the Krebs cycle into lactic acid fermentation. And like, as a dentist, you can actually smell it on people's breaths. It's like a fruity smell. It's funny if you go, like my girlfriend did bodybuilding, and like they would joke that they all had like the worst breath in the world. It's like the funniest thing about pageants and bodybuilding. Like we look so pretty on screen, but like you can't smell us. So you can't smell the breath. It's a ketotic breath, but it's a fruity smelling breath. So basically you're going into lactic acid fermentation, and your body has to go through this in order to produce like only a few ATP as opposed to the Krebs cycle. So, I mean, I can feel that time when I'm going into lactic acid fermentation. I can feel when my body is like literally like burning the fat. And like, to me, actually have a lot of energy during that time. It doesn't really make sense, and I don't understand why. Maybe because fat is like so high in calories. I'm not really sure about that, but I can tell, like, I can feel, like, I can literally feel my stomach shrinking, and then I can almost like feel, like, I feel myself getting skinnier. I don't.
One of the things I remember you saying to me is you said that to me, and you said, I love to hear my stomach growl. I literally, once I stop, if I go till 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock because I had a busy day and I just had coffee in the morning, and I love to feel my body burning its fat, like it's eating its own fat, and I love that feeling.
Like, I feel like I have, after I eat, like, I am low energy, so like I just like that feeling of like you look in the mirror, you feel skinnier after, but like at the same time, like I can feel in my body like getting thinner. I'm higher energy. Like I feel like I feel better personally. I like that feeling. So it's a different kind of feeling than when you're hungry. It's not that hungry feeling. So it's like you're saying, how do you know when you're hungry? Like I'm like during that time, like I don't even feel hungry. After you put some food in front of me, I'm going to eat it. And then I'm like, oh, wow, I was hungry that whole time. But like, I kind of like that feeling. Like, it doesn't make me feel hungry. It makes me feel like energetic. It makes me feel like thinner.
And that goes back to mindset, because what you just said is like, you can have the mindset of, oh, I'm so hungry, my body's eating itself, I don't have the nutrients. Or you can be like, wow, isn't this an amazing feeling? I'm feeling the fat burn off my body right now. And it's that mindset. You're like, wow, I love that. And when you said that to me, I had a real shift there. So when I started getting to the point where I was like, okay, it's 2 o'clock, I haven't eaten, or 3 o'clock, I haven't eaten. And now I'm like, wow, I feel like $1,000,000. I do have more energy. I feel great. I'm not getting weighed down by food. And that mental shift is so powerful.
It is. I mean, I've had a ton of friends tell me similar things, but I mean, you can either, again, focus on the negative. Like if you're really focusing on, I have to lose weight, you're like depriving yourself. Whereas like when I'm at work and I'm doing things and I'm helping other people and I'm like I'm getting energy from other people and uplifting myself in other ways than food, I'm not even focusing on losing weight. I'm not even focusing on that. And then at the, like I've literally like, I sit and a patient is literally like right there on my stomach. So like they're the first ones to hear when my stomach is growling. And I always just joke to them. I'm like, oh yeah, someone's talking to you. Hello.
That's great.
That's great. Say it's like moving around, but like I don't mind that feeling. Like I like to think, oh, I've been doing something, I've been being so productive that like I haven't even thought about food. I'm like, good on me. I didn't even have to go to the gym for this feeling, like, so I mean, I guess it is just a mindset, like of the way you think about it. Like if you think about it like, oh, I've been so busy at work, I didn't even get a lunch, and like, oh, I haven't had this, like that's gonna bring you down. I think like your mind is controlling your body. So if you're focused on the positive, like, oh wow, oh my gosh, I was so productive today that like I didn't even think about food, and guess what, I didn't spend any money, so I can go home and have a nice dinner, like things like that. I think it's, it keeps you motivated.
That's great. So it's funny because everyone that I interview, they kind of each have their own thing. Like for you, I remember it's Skittles. For Missy, she likes chocolate covered raisins or chocolate covered peanuts. That's kind of her thing. Any other things that you go, these are things that I have on a regular basis. I don't deprive myself. I love it. And I eat it in very small portions, and describe that.
Like anything with sugar or cream. Like I'm not the kind of person who deprives myself of, like, I don't do this like black coffee thing. Like I put on full heavy, no, like not full, like real half and half, or like creamer. Like I don't do the diet creamer, like anything with cream. Like I love creme brulee. Really not on the fashion diet. Like, what do I have like on a regular basis? Like, legitimately, I always have creamer in my refrigerator, and it's not the diet stuff, and I don't skimp on it. Like, I put full on creamer in my coffee and sugar and like whatever else I want to, so it tastes like melted ice cream. So yeah.
So talk about as far as some things where you'll say, like, so on some things you might say, okay, I'm going to have like full fat ice cream or whatever. This is what I want. I'm going to make sure I get the best of the best and just eat a little bit versus eating kind of like, when do you kind of make that differential where you'll say, you know what, instead I might have sorbet or something like that?
I think about if if I were to completely indulge, like not deprive myself whatsoever, how much of this can I possibly eat? So like, for example, like you said, you used the thing about M&Ms, and like I actually know a lot of people, like Missy loves her Raisinets, and I know a lot of the pageant girls, like at Miss USA, they would literally carry bags of like peanut M&Ms and like eat them. Like, I know so many people who do the M&Ms. For me, that does not work. But like, talking about ice cream, like if I eat Haagen-Dazs dulce de leche ice cream, that stuff is so freaking good. It's so good. I mean, it's really high calories, but if I don't scoop it out of the thing. I literally eat it straight from the container. But like, if I eat that, I kind of like do like a little pattern. I scrape the top of it off. But like, if I eat that Haagen-Dazs ice cream until I cannot eat any more, and I'm like, oh, this is gross. Like, I don't want it anymore. Mm-hmm. I don't eat that much of it. Like, I'll eat like, okay, so the thing's like probably like this big. Like, if I like literally, I'll scrape the top of it off and then I'll eat it and kind of savor it because it's so freaking sweet and it's so freaking good. Like, I'll like eat, like, there's this pint like this big. I like eat this much. So I guess if you're asking me, and that's like at the end of that, I'm like, oh, this is like, I can't eat anymore. This is like too much. Like, I have had friends tell me that they can eat like an entire pint of ice cream. I personally can't. I probably could do that.
But I love that. I love that. So talk about that for just a second. Okay. So if you're talking about a pint of ice cream, you literally are taking it, you're scraping the top of it off. So if you have a pint.
It's like, I don't know, like what, like this tall?
Uh-huh.
Like, I'll.
Maybe like half of an inch or an inch.
You're not supposed to like play with your food, but like I'll literally like take the thing of ice cream and I'll have a spoon and I'll try to make the top of it like as smooth as humanly possible while I'm eating it. Like, take the spoon and just like scrape the top off, and if we scrape a little bit off, because like I hate it when people go in there and then they take all the good stuff out and like. But to me, honestly, like that like amount that there's like little swirls of like caramel in there. I feel like if you eat all that, it's like. Oh, it's too much. So I just like scrape the top of the thing and then I literally eat it in like shavings. I don't know.
I love that.
It's silly, but you'll see the ice cream is literally like the top is completely smooth. But like I'll only eat like maybe like
a half an inch.
And
you're satisfied.
And then I'm like, maybe it's because I was playing with my food or I was savoring it. I haven't really like ever thought about it like that, but like that's, I mean, if I sit there and then I'm like, oh, it's so good, you know, which is, I guess I am savoring it, but I never really thought about it like that. But like I literally like scrape the top of it off and then eat, and then it's like, okay, that was really good, and then I'll put it back in the freezer. But like, just know if you ever come over my house, like if you have a Haagen-Dazs thing that's like already open, like you probably don't want to eat it. Because awesome. It looks like I licked the top of it off.
That is awesome. Well, Catherine, thank you so much for coming on this show today. And we are definitely going to have you back for our big reveal. So Catherine is going to tell us her latest and greatest project, but she is keeping some things confidential with her celebrity clients right now. And we will have you back on the show. And if you have a question that you want answered, go to questions@chantelrayway.com. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.